there are times where God tells us, go, jump. There is fear, there is anxiety, there is we don't know what is going to happen, uncertainty, we don't know how it will be, but we feel the need of jumping into something, and God is pushing. That voice always is there. I am sure that not only us as priests will hear that voice, but because all of us have the guardian angel, and the guardian angel has the mission to protect us, but also to guide us. And sometimes I tell the people, you are feeling the call of God, jump. It will be moments of despair, will be moments difficult, not everything is clear maybe, but when God calls, we need to answer.
I think we're all aware that our world has changed a lot. There's a lot of challenges on lots of levels, and we need to be courageous to be able to proclaim the gospel even when it's hard. When we're encountering conflict and difficulty, the church also needs to be courageous. Now, courageous is different than mean, and courageous is different from kind of an unfettered confrontationalism. I think that's where social media and some media can go wrong. Christian courage is standing in the truth unapologetically, but with love. And that's what we need, and that's how I see courage, and boy, do we need that in our church.
The world doesn't understand Christianity. The world in general, I mean, if you ask someone on the street who Jesus Christ is, they'll just put him in the same category as George Washington or Abraham Lincoln or, Martin Luther King or some World War II general. There's no distinction as a historical figure, and that needs to be addressed, and there's no other group that will address it than faithful Christians.
I'm happy that the program Salt and Light are touching so many people, are evangelizing in so many ways, and we need to contribute. We need to get engaged with this mission. We need to put our grain, our effort into the radio so that the radio can reach more people. The state is growing, Idaho is growing very fast, and we need to reach to not only to the valley, but we need to reach to the north, Coeur d'Alene, we need to reach Twin Falls, we need to reach every corner of this state. There are people we need, there are people who are suffering, we need to carry the gospel to all of them.
A woman who was basically a lukewarm Catholic. She wasn't going to Mass very often, but she was raised Catholic, and she got a new job that she had to drive at least like 45 minutes each way. pass the time, she started listening to radio, came across Salt and Light, and she said she began just thinking about her faith more as she was driving. And one time where they were talking about why it's so important for us to go to Mass on Sundays, how do we live our faith more than just nominal Catholics, and she said that was the moment of conversion in her life. But she said it was so cool hearing it in the car because she was able to argue with it, which I thought was really beautiful. She's like, hey, I never got to have those conversations just on the streets. No one ever talked to me about it, but it was a very safe environment, if you want to say, in the car. So she was much more receptive and could really discourse with what she was hearing just as she was traveling. And she got so addicted to that she began listening all the time, and now she's a very avid Catholic in the church. And I think that's probably a story that's been, heard and told hundreds of times around it because of Salt and Light.
Salt and Light reaches everybody, has a potential to reach everybody. And it equips everybody to answer questions, to grow in their faith, to address some topics in a more sensitive way. It's a way for Catholics to interface with the community and their questions in a more thoughtful, more rational way.
In the ministry of the church, there are lots of things that need to be done. There's lots of kinds of ministries, and no one person, no one group can do everything. So the church depends upon a variety of ministries. And one of those important ministries is media, Salt and Light Radio. We need that. We need people who are engaged in reaching the broader audience, who are able to just have a 24/7 message that's going out. I can't do that. And I think sometimes we think, well, this person's got to do everything, or the church has to be all things to all people from just the office at the parish. It can't be that way. I'm so grateful to Salt and Light Ministry because it's doing things that I simply can't do. And not only that, but with ministry in the parish, Salt and Light Radio announces our penance services. It keeps the local church apprised of local events, things that are happening in the local church and in the world. They put on and host conferences. They raise awareness for vocations and needs for the poor. That's wonderful. I mean, anyone who does ministry in the church would be grateful to have an entity like Salt and Light Radio back in your plate and promoting all the good and true and beautiful.
When we were baptized, small babies, we have been entrusted the mission of the evangelization, to carry the good news, to carry the gospel. How? Each one of us has different means. So we need to use that gift that God had given to us, not only to the priest, but also each one of us in your job, in school, in the high school, teaching in Bishop Kelly, teaching in St. Paul's School. We need to use the means that God has given us in order to reach the gospel everywhere, to every human people.
As St. Teresa of Avila, she always said her biggest difficulty in making many convents and spreading her charism was not a matter of vocations or finding structures. It was always money. And her great quote was, Teresa and God can do many things, but Teresa, God, and money can do all things. So I think just offering our material means to support that mission really helps us to become invested in one of the great missionary efforts of our diocese.